everybody! Welcome back to my channel. I hope you guys enjoyed my last video. Just wanted to do a quick recap of my last video. So in my last video I talked about how I was a product manager at Meta and I was impacted by the 10K mass layoffs that happened in November of 2022. I talked about the highs and lows, the events leading up to the layoffs, as well as the hours and the days after the layoffs. In today's video, I'll talk a little bit about how I approached my time after the layoffs, what I had been up to, as well as how I was able to secure my next role. So I would say, as I mentioned in my last video, about a week and a half after the layoffs was mostly spent just catching up with my old coworkers, with my old colleagues and friends. There was the outpouring of support that came my way, and they wanted to make sure I was okay and to see if they could help in any way, which I deeply appreciated. After that was around mid-November, and in those 2 weeks, I would say that I would call that period probably my exploration period. I still wanted to decompress and relax and try to get my sleep back on schedule. I think after layoffs, my sleep got kind of wonky, and so was focusing on that. But I spent about 20% of my time exploring all the different options and different things that were going on in tech. So I went on TechCrunch, I caught up on the latest tech news, and just really opened up my mind and any possibilities, including the world of startups. So part of my exploration was just talking to founders, people that might have worked at Meta in the past and then moved on to start a startup, and just learn from them to understand their experience and understand how they were able to create a startup and the things that they learned along the way. And that was really educational, and that really sparked and piqued my interest in potentially starting my own thing one day as well. I had some ideas that I wanted to test out and see if there was product market fit. And so I was just really inspired by these conversations that I had. The way that I had these conversations, there were a Discord group that was spun up for MetaMates that were impacted, that was potentially thinking about finding a startup, either joining one or starting something themselves. And in the Discord channel, there were also people that have also had experience with startups themselves, or people that were also looking to invest in a startup. So it was a really great kind of opportunity for me to get my feet wet. And from that Discord channel, I was able to connect with a few people and really kind of bounce ideas off of them. But I think that at the same time, I was cognizant of the fact that, especially in this economy, VC funding was kind of drying up, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to take that step right away. And so in the back of my head, I was also thinking about, maybe I should start prepping for interviews. So in my last 2 weeks of November was, again spent exploring and also starting to kind of brush up on my resume. And I had friends that were kind of starting to actually do interviews. And so I was also helping them out, doing mock interviews, helping them with presentations that they had to do for their interviews, and kind of just getting my feet wet in terms of, getting back into sort of the interview mode. But still, by then I wasn't really ready to look for a job, and it wasn't until probably the beginning of December when I started to finally open up my LinkedIn and look through the hundreds of reach outs from recruiters, and to maybe select a few to have initial conversations with. And so that's really what I did. And I think I, by then, also wanted to make sure that I was keeping my health top of mind. I have this bad habit of not really prioritizing my health until I was in between jobs. I think that when I get caught up on work, I tend to be kind of all in. And so really the time that I'm able to do a doctor's checkup or a dentist checkup, in my mind, is really in between jobs. So I started to do that as well, and just making sure that I was keeping my mental and physical health top of mind. During this time, because it's a really challenging period, you just lost your job and you're trying to figure things out, I had been seeing a therapist for about 3 years, so I made sure to continue to prioritize my time with her and make sure that I was, again, prioritizing my mental health. And so yeah, those first 2 weeks of December was spent prepping my resume, doing some initial recruiter reach outs, helping my friends. And I would say the last 2 weeks of December, things actually went pretty quickly in terms of getting my next interview loops and my final interview loops. So I kind of had to prep relatively quickly for those. And the way that I really prepped was just really dive deep into my resume, into my experiences, made sure that I remember all the projects that I worked on, was able to talk about my accomplishments, and also just again caught up on the latest tech news, tried to write out kind of a loose framework for how I would organize my thoughts in these product management case questions in both product sense and as well as execution. I had transitioned to product management about a year earlier before, so I already had some of my case study interview muscle kind of still in the back of my head. So it was mainly just brushing up on those, and also helping my friends interview prep also helped me interview prep as well. And so I was able to secure an offer by I think end of December, early January. And by then, after all these health checkups, I realized that potentially there was something wrong with my physical health, and so I actually had to get a colonoscopy, which was also a really interesting experience, and which I'll probably talk about in one of my videos. But a plug here is that if there's anything that you think is odd, I would say get it checked out. Don't wait, get tested. A colonoscopy is not pleasant, but it is one of the best ways to prevent any major issues down the line. So and I would say that by the end of December, I wanted to also spend time recharging, was able to hang out with my niece and nephews, catch up with friends, go figure skating, and just doing things that would make myself happy and make myself feel good after a really challenging period of time. And I would say at the beginning of January, I again had to do my prep for my colonoscopy. It was also helping out volunteering for figure skating. So the U.S. Figure Skating Nationals was taking place in San Jose, and my home club was sort of the organizer of it. And so I helped out with music, I did ice monitoring, and it was just a really great experience to be part of the community that I love and hold really dearly, and be able to see all the athletes work really hard to achieve their dreams. And it was just a really great time to be in the Bay Area, especially as a figure skater in January. And so now in February, I knew that I had personal goals that I wanted to achieve. So another challenge about me is that I tend to put my wellness, my health, as well as my personal goals in the back burner when I'm working, because there's just always a lot of things that get caught up at work. You don't want to let your team down. There's always promotions to chase. There's always things to do, and so I guess that's one of my learnings in terms of going into my next job opportunity, is to also keep the things that I care about top of mind. And so fertility and raising a family one day is something that I really want to do, and I didn't want to let time dictate whether or not I was able to achieve those dreams. And luckily, I still had the benefits from Meta to do fertility treatment. So I basically spent the entire month of February going through that process. And let me tell you, it was a really, really challenging process, and I would say the hardest thing that I've had to do in my life. And so I'll talk about that in perhaps my next video. But I would say that I'm glad I went through it. I actually have to go through it again, but I feel like I have learned so much from that experience, and I know that this is a topic that's not talked about a lot, and so I'm hoping to be able to share some insights for those that also might be thinking about going through it or are currently going through it. So yeah, I think that's the end of my video. I hope this was helpful. I think there will be additional videos, one around, you know, what I've learned from layoffs and the things that I hope to kind of carry through to my future career and life experiences. And I'll do some other videos around, you know, just interviewing, prepping for product management roles in general. I think I was able to transition into product management, and I have learned a lot of things along the way. And so I'll talk a little bit about some interview tips and tricks as well. Well, thanks again for joining in, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one.